Something was changing inside Prince William's world, and for those watching the British royal family from a distance, the shift appeared subtle, almost invisible, hidden behind ceremonial smiles, carefully choreographed appearances, and the polished walls of Buckingham Palace. But palace insiders have quietly suggested that behind those historic gates, a far more complicated story was beginning to unfold. A story not simply about tradition, not simply about succession, but about control, trust, and the future of the monarchy itself. Because while the public continued to celebrate Catherine, Princess of Wales, as the calm and trusted face of modern royalty, and while King Charles III continued carrying the weight of a lifetime spent preparing for the throne, reports began to suggest that Prince William was no longer thinking only as a son. Prince William was beginning to think like a future king. And that raises a question for every viewer watching right now. If loyalty to family begins to conflict with loyalty to the crown, what would you choose? Because this story does not begin in public. This story begins in silence. It begins in private meetings, shortened conversations, altered schedules, and the kind of decisions that never make official headlines but somehow always find their way into whispers from palace insiders. And according to reports, several of those whispers began growing louder after the continued public distance between Prince Harry, Meghan Markle, and senior members of the royal family became impossible to ignore. For years, the relationship between Prince William and Prince Harry had been presented as unbreakable, built through shared grief, shared duty, and the lasting memory of Diana, Princess of Wales. But insiders claimed that behind closed doors, that bond had already begun facing pressures no public appearance could fully hide. And then came the interviews. Then came the memoir. Then came the accusations. And suddenly, what once looked like family disagreement began looking far more like an institutional crisis. But here is where everything becomes even more complicated. Because according to royal commentators, Prince William wasn't simply reacting as an older brother. Prince William was reacting as the man many believe will define the next generation of the monarchy. And if that is true, could the future king already be drawing lines that cannot be erased? At the same time, Catherine, Princess of Wales, remained one of the most trusted public figures inside the royal family, with every appearance reinforcing stability, elegance, and continuity. And some royal observers believe that the growing public affection for Catherine, Princess of Wales, has quietly strengthened Prince William's position more than many realize. But not everyone sees this as coincidence. Some believe strategy is involved. Some believe timing matters. And some believe that what is happening inside Buckingham Palace right now could shape not only the legacy of King Charles III, but the future authority of Prince William forever. So before we go deeper into what palace insiders are now saying about private succession conversations, hidden tensions, and why Meghan Markle and Prince Harry may still be influencing decisions from thousands of miles away, take a second to subscribe, because the next part of this story doesn't just reveal conflict. The next part may reveal who is truly holding power inside the monarchy today. Because if Section 1 revealed that Prince William may already be thinking like a future king, Section 2 begins with an even more unsettling question. What happens when a future king realizes that the greatest threat to an institution does not always come from outside the palace walls, but sometimes from the people who once stood closest to the throne? And according to reports coming from royal commentators, former staff members, and palace insiders, that may be exactly where Prince William found himself, caught between blood, duty, memory, and a rapidly changing public narrative that was beginning to shape the global image of the British royal family in ways few could have predicted. Because long before memoirs dominated headlines, long before televised interviews ignited worldwide debate, and long before social media transformed every royal disagreement into international spectacle, Prince William and Prince Harry were once viewed as the emotional center of a new royal era, two brothers who had endured unimaginable loss after the death of Diana, Princess of Wales. Two brothers whose shared pain created a public bond that millions believed could never be broken. But insiders claim something began shifting much earlier than most people realize. Some reports suggest that even before Meghan Markle officially entered royal life, conversations about responsibility, hierarchy, media strategy, and public expectations were already beginning to create quiet tension between Prince William and Prince Harry. Because while Prince Harry often appeared driven by emotion, personal freedom, and frustration with tradition, palace insiders claim that Prince William was becoming increasingly focused on structure, long-term legacy, and protecting the future of the monarchy at almost any cost. And here is where everything becomes more personal. Because reports suggest that Catherine, Princess of Wales, widely respected for stability, discipline, and public trust, may have quietly become one of the strongest influences shaping how Prince William approached family conflict, media pressure, and institutional responsibility, with some royal observers even suggesting that the presence of Catherine, Princess of Wales, gave Prince William something the monarchy values above almost everything else: control. But was that control protection or preparation? And I want to ask you something. If you were in Prince William's position, balancing family loyalty against centuries of royal duty, would you choose your brother? Or would you choose the crown? Because according to palace reports, one of the biggest turning points may not have happened in public at all. Some insiders claim that private discussions surrounding official roles, media messaging, and long-term succession planning became increasingly tense as Meghan Markle and Prince Harry began redefining what royal life should look like, challenging traditions that senior advisors believed were essential to preserving institutional authority. And suddenly, what looked like modern reform from one perspective may have looked like institutional disruption from another. That alone raised difficult questions inside Buckingham Palace. Because if Prince Harry and Meghan Markle could reshape public expectations, what would happen to the carefully built image of King Charles III, the future authority of Prince William, and the trusted public image of Catherine, Princess of Wales? And this is where insiders say private concerns slowly transformed into strategic distance. Public appearances became less frequent. Joint messaging became increasingly controlled. Behind-the-scenes coordination reportedly became more selective. And while official statements remained polished, observers began noticing that emotional warmth between Prince William and Prince Harry was becoming harder and harder to find. Coincidence? Or deliberate repositioning? And what happened next may explain everything. Because some royal commentators now believe that Prince William stopped viewing the situation as temporary family conflict and started viewing it as something much bigger, a test of future leadership. And when a future king starts seeing conflict as a leadership test, every decision becomes history in the making. So before we uncover what insiders are now saying about confidential succession discussions involving King Charles III, why Catherine, Princess of Wales, may hold more influence than ever before, and how Meghan Markle and Prince Harry may still be shaping palace strategy from across the Atlantic, make sure you subscribe, because Section 3 may reveal the moment this royal drama stopped being personal and became political. Because if Section 2 revealed that Prince William may have begun viewing family conflict as a leadership test, then Section 3 begins with an even bigger question. What happens when a future king realizes that the battle is no longer about personal relationships, no longer about private disagreements, and no longer even about headlines, but about who controls the story of the monarchy itself? And according to royal commentators, that may have been the exact moment everything changed inside Buckingham Palace. Because while the public continued watching official appearances, smiling photographs, carefully managed speeches, and traditional ceremonies, insiders began quietly suggesting that a second battle was unfolding behind palace walls, a battle not fought with public statements or dramatic confrontations, but with something far more powerful inside modern institutions: access, influence, timing, and narrative control. And at the center of that battle stood Prince William, the future king, Catherine, Princess of Wales, the Princess of Wales, and a growing global conversation surrounding Prince Harry and Meghan Markle that refused to disappear. But here is where palace insiders say the real pressure began. Because according to reports, as interviews, documentaries, memoirs, and public revelations involving Prince Harry and Meghan Markle continued reaching millions of viewers across the world, senior royal advisors allegedly began asking a difficult question. If the Sussex narrative keeps growing, who controls the future image of the British royal family? And that is not a small question. That is an institutional question. Because institutions do not simply survive through tradition. Institutions survive through public trust. And some royal observers now believe that Prince William understood that reality earlier than almost anyone else. While King Charles III reportedly continued balancing family sensitivity with royal diplomacy, some commentators believe Prince William may have taken a much harder internal position, one focused not on repairing every relationship, but on protecting long-term authority, preserving the image of the crown, and ensuring that future succession would never appear uncertain in the eyes of the public. And I want to ask you something. If your family conflict started affecting your life's purpose, your future legacy, and your public credibility, would you keep trying to repair the relationship? Or would you protect the institution first? Because according to palace sources, this may have been the period when Catherine, Princess of Wales, became more than a public symbol of elegance and stability. Some reports suggest that Catherine, Princess of Wales, quietly became one of the most trusted strategic voices surrounding Prince William. Not because Catherine, Princess of Wales, sought power, but because the public trust surrounding the Princess of Wales gave every appearance, every gesture, and every family moment extraordinary institutional value. And suddenly, what looked like simple public appearances may have become something much bigger. Strategic reassurance. Because every time Prince William appeared beside Catherine, Princess of Wales, royal commentators noticed something remarkable. Approval remained high. Media focus remained positive. Public confidence remained stable. And inside a monarchy built on perception, that may have meant everything. But what happened next raised even bigger questions. Because while Prince Harry and Meghan Markle continued building a global platform outside royal structures, some insiders claim internal conversations at Buckingham Palace began shifting from reconciliation toward containment. Not retaliation. Not public confrontation. Containment. Controlled access. Carefully timed appearances. Selective communication. Institutional discipline. And if those reports are accurate, then Prince William may not simply have been preparing for kingship. Prince William may already have been practicing it. And this is where everything becomes even more fascinating. Because some royal commentators now believe that King Charles III may still be balancing emotional loyalty to family, while Prince William may already be operating from an entirely different perspective. The perspective of legacy, continuity, and institutional survival. Father, or future king, emotion, or authority. And sometimes, insiders say, the hardest royal decisions are made in complete silence. So let me ask you one more question. Do you believe Prince William is protecting the monarchy, or quietly reshaping it? Because in Section 4, we're going deeper into the private succession conversations that some insiders claim are already happening, why King Charles III's legacy may be under more pressure than ever, and why the growing influence of Catherine, Princess of Wales, could change the balance of power forever. And before we uncover that next chapter, subscribe now, because what happens next may reveal who is truly preparing to define the next era of the monarchy. Because if Section 3 revealed that Prince William may already be practicing kingship behind closed doors, then Section 4 begins with a question that may be even more uncomfortable for palace insiders. What happens when preparation quietly begins before the crown is officially passed? And according to royal commentators, former aides, and observers who have followed the modern British royal family for decades, that question is no longer hypothetical. Because while the public still sees King Charles III as the reigning monarch, some reports suggest that inside private palace circles, discussions about long-term continuity, institutional resilience, and strategic succession may already be happening with a level of seriousness that few outside Buckingham Palace fully understand. And if those reports are even partially accurate, then this story is no longer about family tension. This story is about transition. Because insiders claim that one of the most sensitive conversations surrounding Prince William is no longer whether Prince William will become king, but how early Prince William may already be shaping the monarchy that the public has not yet officially seen. And that changes everything. Because succession inside the monarchy has never been only about titles. Succession has always been about timing, about influence, about who gets heard in private meetings, about who shapes public appearances, about who quietly earns trust before history officially recognizes power. And according to some palace commentators, Prince William may now hold more quiet influence than many realize, not because of formal authority, but because institutional confidence surrounding Prince William appears stronger than ever. But here is where the story becomes even more fascinating. Because some insiders believe the real force behind that growing confidence may not only be Prince William. It may also be Catherine, Princess of Wales. And I want to ask you something. Do you believe the future of a monarchy is built only by the person who wears the crown? Or by the person standing quietly beside the crown? Because royal commentators have increasingly pointed to the public image of Catherine, Princess of Wales, as one of the most stabilizing forces in modern royal life. And some reports suggest that inside palace strategy discussions, the popularity, discipline, and emotional trust associated with Catherine, Princess of Wales, may now be viewed as a major institutional asset. And inside a monarchy where perception shapes legitimacy, that matters more than most people realize. Because while King Charles III continues managing royal responsibilities, international diplomacy, and the weight of legacy, some observers believe that public attention has quietly begun shifting toward what many call the next royal center of gravity. Prince William and Catherine, Princess of Wales. Not through official announcements, Not through dramatic speeches, but through something much more powerful. Consistency. Every carefully timed appearance, every hospital visit, every family moment, every interaction with the public, every image that reinforces trust. And according to some royal analysts, that consistency may be sending a subtle but unmistakable message. The next era may already be taking shape. But what makes this even more sensitive is what may be happening outside palace walls. Because while Prince Harry and Meghan Markle continue building global visibility, independent media influence, and international audiences far beyond traditional royal structures, palace insiders claim that every public move made by Prince Harry and Meghan Markle may still create strategic calculations inside Buckingham Palace. Because in modern royalty, distance does not always reduce influence. Sometimes distance makes influence harder to predict. And that may be exactly why some reports suggest that Prince William is focusing not only on present challenges, but on preventing future uncertainty before it ever reaches the throne. Not reacting, anticipating, not defending, preparing, not inheriting, designing. And if that is true, then Prince William may no longer be waiting for the next chapter of the monarchy. Prince William may already be writing it. So let me ask you one final question before we enter the last chapter. Do you believe King Charles III is still fully shaping the future of the monarchy? Or do you believe Prince William and Catherine, Princess of Wales, are quietly becoming the true center of royal power? Subscribe now, because in Section 5 we uncover the most sensitive part of this entire royal drama. The legacy battle, the emotional cost, and the decision that could define how history remembers Prince William forever. Because if Section 4 raised the possibility that Prince William may already be shaping the future of the British royal family before the crown is officially passed, then Section 5 begins with the most emotional and perhaps the most uncomfortable question of all. What if the greatest challenge facing Prince William is no longer public criticism, media speculation, or even palace politics, but the legacy of the people Prince William loves most? Because behind every royal title, behind every carefully managed public appearance, behind every polished balcony photograph, and behind every ceremonial tradition that millions around the world admire, there exists something no institution can fully control: memory. And according to royal commentators, memory may be exactly what continues shaping every major decision involving Prince William. Because long before Prince William became the future king, long before Catherine, Princess of Wales, became the Princess of Wales, and long before Prince Harry and Meghan Markle became the center of global royal debate, there was another royal figure whose influence still quietly shapes every conversation inside Buckingham Palace. Diana, Princess of Wales. And that may explain why this story is no longer simply about succession. This story may be about inheritance of identity. Because insiders suggest that while King Charles III carries the responsibility of protecting institutional continuity, Prince William may be carrying something even heavier: the pressure of becoming a modern king without losing the emotional legacy that made Diana, Princess of Wales, unforgettable. And I want to ask you something. If your future demanded strength, discipline, and hard decisions, but your past reminded you of compassion, vulnerability, and family, which version of yourself would you protect? Because some royal observers believe that this may be the exact emotional crossroads facing Prince William today. On one side stands legacy. On one side stands institution. On one side stands duty. And on the other side stand blood, memory, brotherhood, and unfinished family history involving Prince Harry. And according to reports, that emotional divide may have become even more complicated as Prince Harry and Meghan Markle continued building an independent public identity far from traditional palace structures, speaking openly about personal struggles, institutional frustration, and emotional pain that millions around the world found deeply relatable. But inside a monarchy built on restraint, emotion can become influence, and influence can become pressure, and pressure can become history. That is where everything becomes deeply personal. Because while some viewers see Prince Harry and Meghan Markle as challengers to outdated systems, others see Prince William and Catherine, Princess of Wales, as protectors of continuity, trust, and national identity. And maybe both sides believe they are protecting something worth saving. But what happened next may define how history remembers everyone involved. Because according to palace insiders, every appearance made by Prince William, every carefully measured public role carried by Catherine, Princess of Wales, every statement delivered by King Charles III, and every global conversation surrounding Prince Harry and Meghan Markle is no longer being viewed as isolated headlines. These moments may be chapters. Chapters in a larger royal transformation. Chapters in a succession story still being written. Chapters that future historians may one day point to as the exact moment modern monarchy changed forever. And that raises one final question for every viewer watching right now. When history looks back on Prince William, will history remember Prince William as the son who protected tradition, the brother who accepted painful distance, or the future king who quietly reshaped the monarchy before anyone realized it was already happening? And maybe the most fascinating part of all is that the final answer may still be unfolding right now. So what do you believe? Do you believe Prince William is protecting the crown, or redefining it forever? Share your thoughts in the comments, because your perspective may be part of this conversation. And if you enjoyed this deep dive into Prince William, Catherine, Princess of Wales, King Charles III, Prince Harry, Meghan Markle, and the future of the monarchy, make sure to subscribe, turn on notifications, and join us for the next royal story. Because inside palace walls, the most important chapters are rarely the ones announced first.